to continue processing a product, continue manufacturing a product, or sell it as it is? You can probably guess by now, since we're all doing cost and revenue analysis, this follows the same logic. So do we want to sell the product right now as it is, simply a gallon of milk? Or do we want to process further into cheese, into other dairy products, half and half? Depends on, of course, we're assuming customers has the needs for those type of products, and then we do analysis on what's the cost you need to spend to process it further, compared against the revenue that you're getting out of processing further, having a process further product. Okay, so how much revenue will the company receive if the company sells the products right now as it is, just simply a gallon of milk? Or do they want to continue to process it into different types of dairy products like cheese, pasteurized milk, sour cream? Do their products have demand in the market? And is it worth it to process it further? In the middle, what's the manufacturing cost that will incur? Are there other tools that we need to purchase to produce this? Or do we have to hire other people? That cost compared against what is the increased revenue for processing further that product and the original gallon of milk, for example. Okay, so what's the processing cost that we need to incur, and what is the increased revenue? So it's actually very similar to accepting the special order or not. What is the increased revenue we're getting, and what is the excessive cost we're spending? These two compared, which one is higher, which one is lower? So here for selling as it is right now and process it further, same thing. We want to compare whether increased cost is worth it or not. Are we actually getting more revenue after spending that cost to process it further? So let's take a look at this example here. Let's say this is a natural resources company on oil and gas. You did research, development, and spent $125,000. This is a sunk cost. So remember what sunk cost is? Any money that you readily spent, right? It's already being purchased. It's already being received. Well, basically cost means any money that you readily spent before. It's in the system. So that $125,000 is occurred in the past, meaning you're not changing anything. Determining selling as it is or process it further, you're not changing that cost. Okay? So think of that as developing the plant, whatever the money you spent there. So you use that sunk cost and you produce 50,000 gallons of regular gasoline. And now you have two alternatives here. You can either sell it as it is right now as regular gasoline, assuming they did analysis and they project that the revenue is $190,000. You have another option, spend more money on processing further some of the tools or other techniques, and you spend $7,500. This cost to process it further into premium gasoline. And you project that you're getting sales revenue $200,000 out of that. So these two ways, if you were the manager, which one would you suggest? Processing further, because $7,500 you're spending, but you're getting more out of that, $200,000. And $200,000 compared against $190,000, the difference was $10,000. So you have increased revenue $10,000 there, and your cost really is just additional $7,500. Okay, so for selling as it is, the original sales revenue is $190,000. You process it further, you had additional costs, of course, but the increased revenue, the revenue difference is higher than the cost. Okay, so the revenue boosts up to $10,000 more, your cost is only $700. Difference is you have a positive profit there after choosing the second option. Okay, so of course, again, this has to be matched against what's the market's demand right now, and whether two types of product customers are able to accept. If you're processing further on something that nobody's interested in, then of course that's not the way to go, even though perhaps the projected revenue is higher, but that's assuming that customer is purchasing them all. That's the retail price you're getting. But what if there's no demand there, then you will not be able to sell it at that price. Okay, so here the grounding is we're assuming that the products, the decisions they made already is they know where is customers' preference, and they just need to decide the cost and revenue, weigh which one is more beneficial for their company. Okay, so the main decision rule here, calculate what is the extra revenue against the extra cost, which one is higher than the other. If we have extra revenue, of course, we want to process it further. If not, then simply sell it as it is right now. So the cost you need to spend on processing further, you need to get a lot more machinery, a lot more different tools, equipments. There's too much investment cost there, and it actually exceeds the revenue, the excessive revenue you're getting after processing it. And of course, you just sell it as it is. It's actually better.